All right, guys, welcome back. So, right now you're going to address the other side. Remember, we already said that a good speech mentions the other perspective. So, you mentioned another freedom that people might want back, and specifically tell your audience why their choice might be good, but yours will be better. So, if I'm talking about freedom of the press, I might say, I know people confuse freedom of the press or freedom of speech. However, freedom of the press is better because if you have a newspaper, you're able to reach more people than just speaking to people. And so you're like distinguishing why they're different and why yours is better. Okay, so Malcolm X says, so what I'm trying to impress upon you in essence is this. You and I in America are faced not with the segregationist conspiracy, we're faced with the government conspiracy. Everyone who's filibustering is a senator, that's the government. Everyone who's finagling in Washington, D.C. is a congressman, that's the government. You don't have anybody putting blocks in your path but people are a part of the government. The same government that you go abroad and fight for and die for is the government that is in conspiracy to deprive you of your voting rights, deprive you of your economic opportunities, deprive you of decent housing, deprive you of decent education. You don't need to go into the employer alone. It's the government itself, the government of America, that is responsible for your oppression and exploitation and degradation of the black people in this country. And you should drop it in their lap. This government has failed the Negro. This so-called democracy has failed the Negro. And all these liberals have definitely failed the Negro. How can you thank a man for giving you what's already yours? How then can you thank him for giving you only a part of what's already yours? You haven't even made progress if that's what's being given to you. You should have had already. That's not progress. And I love my brother Lamarck's the way he pointed out that we're right back where we were in 1954. We're not even as far up as we were in 1954. We're behind where we were in 1954. There's more segregation now than there was in 1954. There's more racial animosity, more racial hatred, more racial violence today in 1964 than there was in 1954. Where is the progress? Not only did we give our free labor, we gave our blood. Every time we had a call to arms, we're the first ones in uniform. We died on every battlefield the man had. We have made a greater sacrifice than anybody who's standing up in America today. We have made a greater contribution and have collected less. Civil rights for those of us whose philosophy is Black nationalism means give it to us now. Don't wait for next year. Give it to us yesterday, and that's not fast enough. So, right here, if he's arguing that we need to be able to vote for the people we want to vote for so that we can have changes made, the other side is or go to war. So, he's actually bringing up we've already been to war, we've already tried to use the bullet, we've already sacrificed. So, he's bringing up we've already tried this, and look, guys, it hasn't worked. And so we actually need to move past that. Like we need to hold people accountable. And so Malcolm X brings up that other side. Notice he doesn't dwell on it. Notice he doesn't go on and on about it. What he instead does is brings it up, addresses it, moves on. So go ahead and pause and write that part. Step 4, which once again, step 4 is to address, or step 5 is to address the other side. I think I did a spell type, a spell check. So, I don't know, that's not the right step. That's step 5, and then this is going to be step 6. So pause the video and go ahead and write that part of your speech. And then when you come back, you are going to go ahead and finish up. Okay, welcome back. I know this is really weird, y'all. This is super awkward for me too, but just make sure that you're pausing to write your pieces out before pressing play so that you can have all of your ideas and you're not getting too much information at once because then you'll overload yourself. Okay, so our final part is going to be step 6 is what that should actually say. And you're going to close out your speech and give a clear call to action. So what you want to happen as a result, people haven't listened to your speech. So you are talking to the Supreme Court. List specifically what you want them to do. Okay? So Malcolm X closes. He says, if a Negro in 1964 has to sit around and wait for some senator to filibuster when it comes to the rights of Black people, you and I should hang our heads in shame. You talk about a march on Washington in 1963. You haven't seen anything. There's some more going down in 64. And this time we're not going like it went last year. We're not singing We Shall Overcome. We're not going with white friends. We're not going with placards already painted for them. They're not going to give round trip tickets. We're going with one-way tickets. And if they don't want a nonviolent army going down there, tell them to bring that filibuster to a halt. I'm sorry, he says that non-violent army. The Black nationalists are going to wait. Lyndon B. Johnson is the head of the Democratic Party. If he's for civil rights, let him go into the Senate next week and declare himself. Let him go in there right now and declare himself. Let him go in there and denounce the Southern branch of his party. Let him go in there right now and take a moral stand right now, not later. Tell him don't wait until election time. If he waits too long, brothers and sisters, he will be responsible for letting a condition develop in this country, which will create a climate that will bring seeds out of the ground with vegetation, and on the end of them looking like something these people never dreamed of. In 1964, it's the ballot or the bullet. So he closes out with his threat, basically. He's saying, if you do not let us use our ballot, if you do not listen to us, we are going to have to use the bullet. So while he's trying to convince people that the bullet is not the way to go, he wants them to remember that threat is still there. We're not talking about sacrificing ourselves for our country. What he's talking about is using it against the people who aren't giving them what they want. And so he closes out just as strong as he finishes. He reminds people of his claim. Please, please, please keep in mind, you want to have a clear call to action. If your freedom is the right freedom for people to choose or for the Supreme Court to choose, why? What will happen if they don't choose it? Describe the mayhem, if you will, and then close out. That is why you should bring the freedom of the press back, or whatever your freedom is. Literally tell them what they should do. When it comes up to vote, vote for this freedom. When it comes to the American people, this freedom is the most important. Stamp what you want to happen and then just close out right there, guys. And so that's it. That is the end. I know it took you a while to get here. You're going to write your call to action now. Now, depending on where you are, you may be on this video on Thursday. And if that is the case, that is fine. Go ahead and start typing your essay into the Google Doc and make sure that you submit it there. Once again, type your essay into a Google Doc right here in Google Classroom. So do your call to action. You should have your full speech. Type it up. Submit this into Classroom Google. Guys, if it is not submitted at the end of class Thursday, it is a 0. I am not taking excuses. I don't care what your excuses are. Let me be clear. Thursday, your speech needs to go into Google Classroom. Thank you so much for your time. I'm pretty sure that you are being awesome. Do not give the sub a hard time. Be awesome, be great, type up your essays. I will be there on Friday. I miss you lots, obviously. Bye.